Have you ever wondered how an engineer really sees the world? It's a totally unique perspective that turns everyday things into these fascinating puzzles. And it all boils down to one single powerful idea: energy.
So, let's start with a really simple question. When you look at a cup of coffee, what do you see, right? Is it your morning ritual, that caffeine boost you desperately need? Well, an engineer, they see something completely different.
That's right. To an engineer, it's not just a hot drink. It's this elegant puzzle of energy, just waiting to be figured out. And today, I'm going to let you in on the secret framework they use to solve it.
Okay, so why all the fuss about energy? Why is it the key to this whole secret view of the world? Well, because in the real world, understanding energy is, well, it's everything. This is where it gets really serious. Energy is expensive, incredibly expensive. And most of our power, even today, comes from burning stuff. So an engineer's main job, their bread and butter, is to be an energy accountant. They have to track every single bit of energy that flows through a process. And they do this by writing something called an energy balance, which is basically the blueprint for efficiency. So, how do they actually do it? Well, we're going to use our trusty cup of coffee to define the essential puzzle pieces every engineer needs to know.
First up, you've got the system. This sounds fancy, but it's just the thing we care about, the little piece of the universe we want to focus on. For us, right now, the system is the hot coffee inside the mug. That's it. Simple.
Next, we have the surrounding, and this one's even easier. It's literally everything else in the universe that is not our coffee. The air in the room, the table it's sitting on, you, me, it's all the surrounding. And finally, we have the boundary. Now this is the crucial part. It's the line, real or imaginary, that separates our system, the coffee, from everything else. For our mug, it's the inside surface of the ceramic and that top surface of the coffee that's open to the air. This is where all the action happens. Okay, a quick but really important distinction here. Our coffee mug is what we'd call an open system. Why? Because mass, steam, can float away and cross the boundary. But if we poured that coffee into a perfectly sealed thermos, it becomes a closed system. Nothing gets in or out. And that difference is a huge deal when you're trying to track energy. All right, so we've defined our system, the coffee. Now, the next question is, what kind of energy does it actually have? What's going on inside that boundary? Turns out, the total energy of, well, anything is made up of just three basic types. You've got kinetic, potential, and internal energy. Let's break those down real quick. Kinetic energy is pretty straightforward. It's the energy of motion. But we're talking about the motion of the whole thing. So for our coffee to have kinetic energy, you'd have to, throw the entire mug across the room. It's the energy of the whole system moving. Potential energy is stored energy, usually because of where something is. So if you lift your coffee cup and put it on a high shelf, it suddenly has more potential energy than it did on the table. Gravity gives it the potential to fall and release that energy. Makes sense, right? And now for the big one, especially for our coffee: internal energy. This is all the energy that's hidden inside, at the microscopic level. It's the energy of all the little coffee molecules whizzing and vibrating around. Basically, it's what makes the coffee feel hot. A hot cup of coffee has a ton of internal energy. So we know there's energy inside our coffee. But the really interesting part, the part engineers live for, is how that energy moves around. How does it get from the coffee, across the boundary, and out into the world? And here's one of those things that's just beautifully simple. For all the complexity in the universe, energy can only get in or out of a system in two ways. Just two. The first way is heat. Engineers give it the letter Q, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's energy that moves because of a temperature difference. Our coffee is hot, the air is cool, so energy naturally flows out, from hot to cold. That flow is heat. It's the reason your coffee gets cold. And the second way is work, which gets a W. Work is pretty much every other way energy can be transferred. The classic example is pushing something. When you slide your coffee mug across the table, you're doing work on the system. You are physically transferring your energy to it. Okay, we've defined the system, we've counted up its energy, and we found the only two doors energy can use to get in or out. Now it's time to put it all together into the single most important rule in engineering, the ultimate balance sheet. And at its heart, this law is just accounting. That's all it is. It just says that any change in the energy inside your system has to be perfectly balanced by the energy that either came in or went out. You can't just create or destroy energy. You have to account for it.
This totally common sense idea, this balancing of the books, is the core of what's called the first law of thermodynamics. And when we translate that idea into the language of math, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool.
And there it is. This beautiful little equation shows how it all connects. The change in the system's energy, that's the change in the kinetic, the potential, and that all-important internal energy, is perfectly equal to the heat you add minus the work the system does. Every single piece of our puzzle has its place.
And here's the absolute best part. This exact same equation, the one that perfectly describes your coffee cooling down on the table, is the very same rule engineers use to design a jet engine or figure out how to make a giant power plant more efficient. The scale changes, but the rule never does.
By learning to see a system, its boundary, and the energy flowing across it, you've just learned the secret to seeing the world like an engineer. So my final question to you is this. Look around you. What part of your world is a system you've never thought about before? A car engine? Your refrigerator? Your phone? The possibilities are literally everywhere.